After a rough season for the Silver and Black, they welcomed a new head football coach, Pete Carroll, of course, and general manager John Spytek in a press conference that was held today. And our sports team has been at Raiders headquarters all morning hearing from the new management. Nick Walters and Alex Eschleman are joining us live right now from Allegiant Stadium with more on today's meeting. Hi there.
Hey Tricia, the last 3 years we know that Raider Nation has introduced a new general manager and head coach to the mix. But when Nick and I were driving here, as well as our photographer Robert, we all agreed that it felt different this time around at Raiders headquarters,
right, Nick? Yeah, sure did. I mean, a year ago, last Friday, we were right here in this same spot introducing Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. And AP, of course, didn't have much of a coaching resume or a track record of winning in his past outside of winning a Super Bowl as a player. And now you welcome a new head coach that has a long track record of winning, not just on the professional level, but also on the collegiate level. And he can set that tone and set the culture for the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's what we welcome today inside the walls of Raiders HQ with spirits high all around. Because look, in 9 seasons at USC, Carroll's Trojans won 7 straight Pac-12 titles and won 2 national championships. In 14 seasons in Seattle, Carroll Seahawks won a Super Bowl, made the big game twice, enjoyed 8 10-plus win seasons, and made the playoffs 10 times. So Pete has a blueprint to success, obviously, and he's ready to instill it here in Vegas.
In both situations, it just took us a couple of years to get going. And I know that rhythm, and I'm expecting that rhythm. I'm anticipating that we're going to find that rhythm right here, right now, here in Vegas. And so with the Raiders and this opportunity, I feel like I've been there before. And I'm going to bank on that. And I'm going to follow my instincts, and we're going to be fired up about who we are and what we stand for.
I've been around truly some of the great players of the last 20 years, and I've got to see what it looks like, what greatness looks like, what competitiveness looks like. I see Max standing back there. He embodies all that stuff that we're talking about. I just love watching players compete and perform.
The culture is the players. I mean, you're either competing or you're not. And I'm going to make sure that that's really clear to these guys from the moment they get here. You know, we're going to go out and draft a class, and there'll be a few free agents maybe we'll be able to attract, and we'll need to see those guys. But the competition part of it is theirs to command.
When I dreamt about having one of these jobs, I always wanted it to be with an iconic franchise like the Raiders. There's just some teams where it means a little bit more. There's just some teams where the NFL's better when they're crushing it. And to have been given that responsibility is not something I take lightly.
If you want to be on a great team, you need to be a great teammate. And so teaching what that's all about and instilling that in the makeup of our program is going to be crucial.
Look, we all know the age of Pete Carroll, 73, but he's more like 73 going on 43, telling by the energy of that press conference today. And I was talking to Pete Carroll, telling him, look, you're the 3rd head coach in this building in the last 3 years. And his response to that was, you just got to flush the past and only looking forward with Tom Brady, and Pete Carroll, and John Spytek.
Absolutely, and I was able to speak with John Spytek in a one-on-one interview earlier today at Raiders HQ as well, Nick, and he talked a lot about what he's looking for in not only the current roster, but what he hopes to add. Take a listen. 3 things that you want to check off the list in terms of goals immediately.
Oh, what a great question. We want to build a roster from the ground up that people, Raiders Nation, Raiders fans can be proud of. We're going to add the right kind of people to this building that are about all those things that we talked about today, so that the next step then is to be winning games and be playing in the last 4 like we got to see 4 teams do yesterday. I mean, that's the goal always is, you know, we're not going to win it every year, but if we can put ourselves in a spot with the right people added to our organization to be in those championship games every year, then we'll have a chance to win the Super Bowl that this franchise and this fan base deserves.
The quarterback situation here has been an ongoing conversation within Raider Nation. What is your thought process early on with the quarterbacks, and how do you hope to continue to develop that room?
Yeah, it's going to be always a thought process until everybody feels great with where we're at. You know, I got a lot of respect for the guys that are in the building already. We're going to support them every way we can. We're going to, you know, as a scouting department, we're going to look everywhere we can possibly look for competition to add to that room and men that we think can be the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. And, you know, I wouldn't be doing my job if we didn't do that.
Now, I mentioned looking everywhere that he can possibly look, right, nationwide. Earlier in the press conference, before we had that one-on-one, John did say, while he is a Michigan man, it pains him to say it, he is going to be looking at the reigning national champions in the Ohio State Buckeyes. So that was pretty fun to hear.
Well, look, given the Raiders just went 4-13 and have only had 2 playoff wins in like the last 22 years, you'd think that they'd be more pessimistic, but a lot of optimism right now for the Raiders as we are just months away from foot meeting ball in that building. But hey, coming up on Channel 13 at 6, we'll have more from John Spytek and new head coach Pete Carroll. Tricia, let's go ahead and send it back to you.
We happen to have the greatest of all time to help us and to see clearly, and we're gonna lean on Tom as much as we possibly can for his insights, because nobody has the insights that he has. He's that unique.
Pretty amazing to see Tom Brady and Mark Davis at a Las Vegas Aces game as well. Just goes to show how much belief a guy like Tom Brady has in the sports capital of the world, Nick.
Yeah, Alex, it's crazy to imagine just how much Tom Brady's influence has changed this Raiders franchise since he became a part owner in the middle of last season. You know, I got to catch up with Pete Carroll after that introductory press conference. We spoke about Brady and also his time as a player's coach, getting to coach now with Max Crosby, and here's what he had to say. Tom Brady, that relationship, I'm sure that's evolved through this process in the offseason and taking what you've learned in your 1 year as an advisor with the Seahawks. How has that relationship blossomed, and what makes you so excited about the potential in that relationship?
Well, it's the extraordinary background that Tom has created, and the person that he is, and his desire to share what he's learned over his years in pursuit of the great success that's out there for us. To share it with him, it's one of a lifetime. So I'm really thrilled about that. We're going to be competing at everything, and we'll be battling in every way. So he brings a great element to our club.
You've had such strong relationships with players in the past. Marshawn Lynch is still with you to this day. Bobby Wagner, the list goes on, and of course back to USC as well. We saw you embrace Max Crosby, and Max Crosby is rightfully so the face of the franchise, the culture setter in this building. You know, how excited are you to get to work with him?
Yeah, fortunately, when the day I came in here for the interview, we walked down to the training room, and he's the first guy I run into, you know. And so I was really happy about that. I got to meet Christian and some other guys too. But that was, it starts the connection, you know, and it's got to filter through the whole crew and everybody. But Max is a flag bearer, and so I'm glad to have that chance to already know.
Now, Pete, you're going to be the 3rd head coach in 3 years for this franchise, coming off a 4-13 season. What do you think is most important about a turnaround in entering this process?
The most important thing is we just get started, and what happened in the past is in the past, and away we go.
Well, it's reportedly been the Brady show all offseason, and every move along the way has proven so, with Tom Brady's fingerprints all over it, including Antonio Pierce's firing on January 7th, and then Tom Telesco being let go on the 9th, bringing in Tom Brady's former college teammate and John Spytek, who he worked with and won a Super Bowl with in Tampa, and now Pete Carroll, the man that he beat in Super Bowl 49, making this new organizational structure for the Raiders with a lot more optimism right now than there was just 1 week ago.
Definitely, Nick. That was a great interview. I was right behind the camera watching the whole thing happen, and you can be sure to tune in to the entire interview on KTNV.com, as well as my interview with General Manager John Spytek. And stick around for our 6:30 show as well, guys. We're going to have some fun remarks that happen throughout the presser as well. Back to you.
We heard their vision for the future of the team, but they also had a little fun as well, and so they're going to tell us about that. Nick, Alex?
Trisha, Joe, that's right. While a lot of serious topics were discussed at Raiders HQ with Pete Carroll and John Spytek, there were also a lot of lighthearted, fun, carefree moments, and honestly, that was arguably the best part of the day, Nick.
It sure was. You know, business was still tended to, of course, but Pete Carroll isn't just known for his winning ways and accomplishments like national championships and Super Bowls, but it's even more so his personality, how energetic and fun he can be, and that became very evident with the vibe of the room and some very memorable remarks. Check it out.
He's like 75 years old. He can't give it up and win state championships all the time. So, Coach, I hope you're out there watching somewhere. I love you. Thanks
Why are you looking at me?
Just a guy that loves football, just like you.
We do want to fill our stadium up with our guys. I know that we have a good draw for people from out of town. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Mark, settle down a little bit.
You came in and they called you the whiz kid.
I didn't know that till you put that out there, a week ago, and all my friends found it. I was the whiz apparently for the past 20-something years.
Yeah. And still laughing with them today.
Yeah,
Talk about
no idea.
A
I
phenomenal.
just watched my young son here tie his shoes for the last 10 minutes, but they're both tied now, so they look good. Good job, Tommy.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm not real proud of wearing this number 73 on my back, but that's not what fires me up. But obviously, I'm freaking jacked up, so that shouldn't surprise you. But
To get the chance to sit up here alongside of him today and now work alongside of him is an honor, and I'm just fired up.
okay, go on.
The "Hey Mark, settle down a little bit," Nick, was iconic. I was dying laughing. Shout out to our producer, Rochelle, for putting that one together.
Yeah, and the guy who screamed Raiders was Marshawn Lynch, the former star running back for Pete Carroll. We were standing like right there in front of it, and this scared me so much at the time, right?
Yeah.
But it's clear that Pete Carroll and John Spytek are comfortable in their own skin, and why wouldn't they be? They've been there, they've done that, they've won Super Bowls, and hopefully they can bring that approach and bring more wins to that stadium come this fall. But win, lose, or draw, what is going to happen is you'll see more bubblegum chewing on the sideline with Pete Carroll next season. But that's all for now, and a new era begins in Las Vegas. A lot of optimism, but hey, keep watching for that coordinator hire, the quarterback situation, as everything evolves over this very interesting offseason. But for now, I'm Nick Walters.
I'm Alex Eschleman. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Some good moments. He does like to chew his gum, Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
He's really intense about it, too.
I'm sure Raiders fans are pretty excited.
Oh, it's a great team.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good move.